Good morning. It's 10:48 this morning on April 15th. Um, so Eli left this morning. Of course, he's avoiding my dad's this morning. I had chocolate got caught in my mouth. It was just still dangling there. So definitely last night I posted on my Facebook the shitty attitude that my father had. And the thing I'm so pissed off with him about, to my father about, is that he says all I did was just firewood and that's all I did. Well, unfortunately, the day before, or a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, I cleaned up the house. There was a lot of dog shit everywhere, piss everywhere. Um, my dad's most disgusting, nasty behavior. I mean, all he's in is just in his underwear, and that's it. I mean, the guy can't even wear like a sweater to bed at night to keep himself warm additionally, and like a sweatpants or anything, despite the fact that he has a catheter up his ass, which is not my fault. That's his fault. I mean, it's every person's responsibility to take care of themselves, even when they become diabetic. You have to take care of yourself. I mean, this is like one of the things that, or many things that I don't like about the Navajo Nation, is that they drink a lot. They turn around and talk about you behind your back. Just because you're a kid of somebody else, or the people that they don't like, they turn around and talk about you behind your back. And that's not really nice. I mean, they preach and complain about, oh, the old days it was like this, it's like this, and you guys keep bringing it up. You know what? You don't. You're the ones that don't like half breeds. You're the ones that don't like Mexican whites mainly, the black people, every ethnic background. You don't like them. Why would you let a PragerU to say that they're not racist people, the Navajo people, in which they are? Because I'm born and raised on the reservation. I know how these people are. They even talk about skinwalkers, but it's a folklore storytelling thing that you just tell your children so they don't go around running outside in the middle of the woods somewhere and then get lost. Because there were stories that, kids went into the woods and never came back. Because wildlife got them: bobcats, mountain lions, bears, whether it's black or brown. People with no common sense, people who are cannibals, murderers, people that you shouldn't be visiting, like neighbors, like a mile or two away. I mean, these are reasons why people back in the day used to say, don't be going hanging out with so and so. They're like this, and it's true. Don't be hanging out with them because they say a lot of things that are really rude and disrespectful. I mean, literally, how hard is it when your parents try to tell you something? Hey, listen. If you don't want to listen and you want to learn the hard way, by all means. I mean, I'm glad I'm not married. I never had children. Never got married. But except for the fact that I'm still around my stupid parents that talk shit about me. Why should I get married? Why should I have kids? They're just going to turn around and make insults about them. That's all these Navajo people are about. It's not my fault that there's 3 or 4 generations back that are white people, little bit, perhaps Asian in my family. I'm not too sure, because it really shows with my mom's father's mother. It's really rude and disrespectful. And I would never I mean, this is something I gotta be realistic with myself, that I would never get a ceremony done with a medicine man, because I do, for some odd reason, find that medicine men are the real witches and warlocks or whatever. I don't like them because there's something about them that I don't like. And the thing is, when they do singing on you to get whatever it is that they say that somebody put on you, they're the ones that's pulling out some imaginary thing. They have an assistant that come in, and these people are like hallucinating. They say they saw something. I do believe they're on drugs. And there is an opium plant that I saw last year around the summertime. Somewhere around August, I believe. Probably June or July, August, I don't know. There's a cross street of opium plant. See, when I'm saying opium plant by a cross street that goes from the back roads of Ganado to Flagstaff, there's opium growing on the back roads, cross street corner. It's a four-way actually with a stop sign. It really came to my attention to, like, what are these plants on the side of the road? I mean, there's this wild brush everywhere, and so when my father is the one that picked me up that time, and I looked over to the side, and then I saw a plant, and the opium plant on the internet looks green. Of course, it's like newly grown and all that, but this is the one that This is the one that's grown on the corner of cross streets, and it just looks like the rest of the plant's colors is beige color. Ugh. Acid reflux. Well, anyway, and I happened to see the same features and everything that was on that plant, and I just looked at it, and then my dad continued on, and then in the area does not have any cell phone or internet service of any kind. So when I got home and I looked at it, and I was like, is that real? I mean, I just saw an opium plant at this cross street, which I'll post in a later video. So I tried calling the Navajo Nation police. They just told me saying that it doesn't grow in the region. I let recently, this past month of April, that with the New Mexico sheriffs, I told them about it, and they said, well, it's not in our jurisdiction. But I said, well, I know, it's just I gotta tell somebody about it. And one of them said that it grows in only in certain places, but that's not true. It can grow anywhere. I mean, back in Western movies that are made, these are Asian people smoking opium. That's why I don't trust these Navajo medicine men when they say that, oh yeah, these all came out of you from some ceremony thing. Singing gotten done. So I've been very hesitant. And I always ask people, like, what did they actually take out of you? And they said, oh, all sorts of things. Things you can't explain what they are. And of course you can't, because these are things that are made up with their assistant to bring in while they're singing, and their heads probably down closed, and then they secretly bring in these items. I would never get a singing done. No. By them. Or I would never drink anything that they offer you. No. Because of the hallucination, and I just don't trust them. I'd rather trust the ones that died couple of decades ago, maybe 2 decades ago, 4 decades ago. I would rather trust them, because those are the people that really know something about the culture, about how to protect you and all that. But nowadays you can't really, because they're just literally people that like to harm you, scare you, start more fear into you. I did run into an article about a lady that her husband and brother were heading towards here on the Navajo Nation and cutting through the back roads, and it's just to get through the Navajo Nation quicker, cut through the Navajo Nation quicker to get to their destination. And the sad thing is that they died. They were murdered. When I further look into her story, and I listened to it, I was like, dang, it's probably one of those. And as soon as I was done reading it or listening to her on her video, that it was very awkward and strange with her, because why her brother and her husband wasn't communicating with her, because they were gone. What I mean by gone, I mean they were dead, murdered. I'm glad the tourism here on the Navajo Reservation doesn't exist anymore, because I don't like the dogs, because these motorists, they run over them. And the Navajo Nation police doesn't even stop to pick them up or anything, or the none of the Navajo Nation presidents for over the time periods when the Navajo Nation started, they never put a sign up to say slow down, stop running over the animals. You know, there's a lot of officers that quit. It's always mysterious on why. There used to be a lot of cops in my young days, and nowadays there's hardly any, and they don't really respect the law. They think that they're above the law, but in reality they're not. I miss the times that in my younger youth, and well, get back to my dad. You know, it's the reason why I opened up this video, because he complains. He says that my father says that he put a wood with ants on it, and he put in the wood stove. I don't know how many times I did it, and I apologized for it to the ants. You know, that's traditionally what you would do. And so he goes, I when I get paid again, I need to give a medicine man money to get this prayer done, because I put ants in the wood stove that was inside a log and one of the cedar plants. And I was like, I said, wow, I've done that many times before and nothing has happened to me, you know. There's a lot of ants in the world, you know. They're all over the place. Even the wood haulers, how are they supposed to know that there was ants in the trees? You know, you just say, oops, I'm sorry. Because sometimes ants can be a nuisance, because if they can get into a lot of things. Things that a human wouldn't want them in, because we eat them. We utilize them. But the thing is that it's kind of a pest, really. So, I don't know. There's just some things in reality that you wouldn't want in your house. Even termites. I don't know. My dad's very superstitious, and I'm tired of his stupid ways, because all he ever does is spend his money on worthless junk, and it's worthless. He even bought a towing winch that was like $600 that I had to look up online, and then sure enough it was. It still sits there, and it was never used. So to carry on this conversation further, back again to my father, he claims that I never fed him what I did. There was a big old plate of potatoes, seasoned meats that I put in with the potatoes after it was barely getting softened. I put it in. It came out pretty good, tasty. I ate a lot to myself. I'm still full from it. He comes to me later on and asks me to make fried bread, which I don't like making fried bread. I don't like making bread at all, because he doesn't put the rest of it away after I made it. I say, here's the rest of it. He uses his uropathy as an excuse, because I know you can't have feeling. You don't have feeling in your fingertips. You lose feelings in your limbs. You know, there's people out there that are a lot worse health conditions than my father's. It's too bad he lost his foot. He lost some toes. I mean, it's giving me a headache, because it brings back a lot of memories about my grandmother. God, I mean, a lot of crazy things about her. Oof. Growing up watching her, and then looking at my dad now, it's like the same thing. My dad even criticized my grandparents, my mom's parents. Not understand why my mom's dead, because my father has ADHD, even though he's 75, and I read online that elderly people don't get research because on ADHD because they're old. A lot of the subject is based on dementia, like lost memory, but that's not true. Some people do exhibit that behavior, but most others don't. For one thing, he doesn't know how to read. He doesn't know how to write. The only thing he writes is his name. He just scribbles it. He knows what he's doing. He really does, and he says that, I never hurt your feelings, I never broke your heart. I said, you did too. I said, you killed my mom, my 13-year-old nephew with cerebral palsy. People with ADHD are dangerous, murderous people. They're evil. So when you look it up online with people with ADHD, make sure they're on their medication when you mingle with them, because they're evil. Even like with Alan Richardson. Who is he to judge? You know, he's getting paid by devil worshippers, paying him millions of dollars to support their way of life. I mean, so there's a lot of times too I wonder about Alan Richardson, even despite the fact he's handsome looking. But in reality, he's a case. I don't know how his wife can put up with that. To me, it's probably just narcissism that he just thinks it's so cute. His wife gave him met his future wife and gave him cookies. Oh, what's sweet. Yeah, right. That was probably more than that. Well, anyway, I don't like him anymore. I mean, there's just something about him that I'm gathering about him that's not right about him. He's just using his ADHD as an excuse. That's the way I look at it for a narcissist. I don't know, I'm just pissed off with my dad because he accused me and telling my younger brother that I starved him and I didn't. I made him a huge ass plate. Every day I made fried bread for him. He just feeds it to the dogs. I'm not going to keep making it every day so he can feed the dogs. He's already got a bag of he bought a shitload of dog food. He brought back home chickens and different breeds of chickens and ducks. Get tired just mentioning about my dad. Very fatiguing. Very tiring with him. Definitely in public, I'll definitely cuss and swear. But with other people, I won't cuss and swear. I hate my father because he talks to other people about how he went to Vietnam and he did all these crazy marital affair things that he did over there, and that's probably why this person is most likely witching him, or it's just too much of his mind about that. Skinwalker's not real because I don't know. People like to brainwash themselves with stupid nonsense, and it's amazing how the IRS is not going after the Navajo Nation people for that, for the medicine man. They're getting extra income. They should be taxed. It's not fair for everybody else is getting taxed. I don't like my father. He's very disrespectful. He talks really shitty and crappy towards other people. That's the reason why my young brother says also that people don't like you because you're weird, you're stupid, the way you behave. That it is true. He'll make it sound like he's an innocent victim, but he's not a victim. He's not a victim. He's a narcissist and an ADHD individual. That's why my mother used to mention for years before she died 14 years ago. She says, your father's a reckless driver. He's scary. And it is true because he has less regards for the rules of the road. He screams at you. My mom used to do that to me. I mean, these are people that don't know how to talk or how to communicate. They don't. They treat their kids like shit. They treat their kids like garbage. I don't know why they even had their kids in the first place if they knew the guy was going to fool around on them. How hard is it in life to think twice about having children because of the consequences that you're going to have as a woman on raising that child all by yourself? That's the reason why I never wanted to get married or nothing like that. I know how these people are. They're rude, they're disrespectful, they're racist. They're very racist people. There's even a half-breed girl that's half Navajo and half Mexican because even though she looks mostly Mexican, her siblings treat her like trash. but her future is bright as hell. She is going to have a man that's going to spoil the rats out of her. The things that she ever wanted is going to come true for her. Despite the fact that she's Navajo and Mexican, the beauty of her is gorgeous. I'm sure she graduated high school already because I met her a few years back, 2-3 years ago. Probably more than that, maybe 4 years back. So she says that, she goes, yeah, I agree with you. This place is racist, it's hate. It doesn't like half-breeds. It's really rude and disrespectful, and it is. I worked retail for 21 years, and the remarks of the statements of customers coming in being Karens, as the internet says. You know, I even had one customer make death threats at me, and I tried telling my boss at the time, and she didn't give a rat's to listen. She goes, you're not supposed to have a full conversation with him. I said, there was nobody in line. She goes, I don't care. You're not supposed to do this. How can you turn around and say that Eddie Basho is racist? You know, it's the people that represent him are racist. I never said that Eddie Basho, who's a Lebanese, is racist. I don't care if people say that worked for him said that was he, just because he stated about Eddie Basho that he bought Native American items, it doesn't mean anything. To me, it doesn't, because anybody in this world can buy something that belongs to the Native Americans, the indigenous, but then guess what? That person could still be racist no matter what. Buying things of other people's ethnic background, making their own museum, is not going to turn things around to say, oh yeah, I worship the Native Americans, they're nice people. You know, they're only nice to a guy like Eddie Basho because he's white. He's business oriented. Sadly, he passed away of cancer. That's what I heard. I mean, sad. I mean, I had a couple uncles that passed away. An auntie that died of a stroke because the foods that she was eating was really high in cholesterol, probably. Or she just didn't take care of herself that well. She didn't take care of herself. Then she went a little nutty because I believe that over the course of her time growing up, she was manipulated, she was brainwashed. She came really doo-duh. Like a dodo bird. Like, she couldn't do anything right. She made remarks about people that were rude, disrespectful. Even coming into my father's house when it was brand new, more than 25 years ago. 26 years ago. Coming in and saying some things that weren't nice. I don't recall the actual words, but she was really negative. She was very jealous because my parents ran into a lot of money. And that's how they got this double-wide mobile home, which is, the land's very uneven. It's one side of the house, the room I'm in, it's leaning over to a certain degree, and when you make fried bread and put oil in the frying pan, you can see it's uneven. Then when you also put a bowl of water or anything on the other side of the house, on the other half of the house, it's even. Why can't my father spend $3,000 to even out his homestead, instead of spending $3,000 on a spiritual ceremony that's not going to really benefit to him to anything? Got my fingertip numb. So anyway, my father's really brainwashed, just like my Aunt June. And nothing's going to ever get better for my father. The way he is socially, the way he treats people, the way he talks. It's too bad my mom's dead, because she said for many years that, before she passed away, she said that one of these days I'm going to end up in a hospital with life support. And sure enough, it did. It happened. Then she also mentioned that people were going to be at her funeral that never came to her in person. That was true. But I never said anything because I'm just not the person that would say something, really. Because I don't want to say anything further bad on somebody's funeral. Because it's just full of shock that you watch your mom laying there on her in the funeral home in her casket, covered with something that's very cold padding, and it's on her. She was so covered up except for her head, and except for her feet, the only thing I could touch of her. She became an asshole because of my dad. Not a day I can remember that was ever nice except for a little bit of it, of her life that was happy. I miss her that bad, even though my dad treated her like she was trash. But she was smart. But not smart enough to leave my father. She could also ditch my sister too, but she chose not to. I don't know why. It's stupid. My sister got my mom fired from a couple of jobs that she had, I believe. From one of them I know of, but because she kept calling. My sister kept calling, so they let her go. She couldn't get a job after that. I remember having a fallout with my mom one time when I moved out of the house for that couple of years. For more than a decade, around 13 years. I had no choice to come back, and then because I got kicked out of my apartment because of one of my stupid younger cousins, couldn't get alcohol out of his life. He was ready to kill himself, but then I said, well, I feel like killing myself too, but I can't because it's not going to solve anything. You're just going to hurt more people. Just because the way my youngest uncle did to his dad. It's too bad he's dead. Too bad he got in with some bad dealings with people in Albuquerque that were drug dealers. The information I got from my dad was saying that he got into bad people, got into their business, and most likely didn't pay up because the guy never stood up to his responsibilities on paying people back. So he was an alcoholic and drug addict. Some things I've seen for myself. And this is why I'm saying this, is because in reality, he got into some people that were into drugs, drug dealing. I'm sure enough of that. That's one time he got beaten up once, and he got around his mouth, beaten up so bad he had to suck his food out of a straw. That bad. And they killed him. They charred his body somewhere, and then was put in a park somewhere in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My father said that he tried brown nosing to see where places where he could have been murdered, and they would have burned his body, and there was an officer around the park that my father said that he was at, and why my father brown noses about that for, I don't know. It's stupid to me. I mean, they killed him somewhere. It's mysterious, and then I wouldn't go out there. No. You might end up buying a vehicle off the murderer. You never know that. That's why I don't like the idea of driving way over there and then back. It's a 4-hour drive. But the thing is, when I say it's a 4-hour drive, these people drive like it's a limit of 100 miles an hour. They don't follow the rules. I need to make some coffee. So what's in this bag? Coffee. I like smelling it when it's in the sunlight. It really permeates the room. It's really good too for perfumes. Like if you use too much and then it gets to your allergies, or into your sinuses, to your allergies, it gets worse. It smells really good. Clears out the sinuses. To me, it does. I use like an air freshener because it smells nice. It's kind of taking my headache away a little bit. I don't know. I can't stand people that lie. There's some things in life that you're not supposed to talk about because it's sacred, even for the Navajos. And they keep putting these stories online. It's not something that you're supposed to talk about because it's the Navajo medicine way. It's the way of the Navajos. You're not supposed to talk about it. And yet they are. There's, I don't know how about, I think about 6 or 7 total counting of people that talk about it, and you're not supposed to. They still do it. But most of the time, most others will talk about it because even right here on the reservation, just because some white guy over here is publicizing something great and awesome that he loves about the Navajo Nation, but yet there's like idiots will come up to him and then start mentioning about skinwalkers and all that. I mean, see the retardation in that? God, sometimes I wish God would just wake them up or something. If God really did exist, I mean, all you can do is just sit there and pray, man. Pray every day, saying, well, I wish that person would shut up. I wish karma would hurry up and come and pick up and tell these people to shut up. I don't know. Just because a white guy comes in through town, talks about the grandeur of the Navajo Nation, there has to be some idiot having to talk to him about skinwalkers. Go on YouTube and research it. You'll find a couple of people that did that. One guy too, mainly one guy. I don't know. I'm just waking up this morning that I hate my father. Of course, I hate him because he's an idiot. I did made him a huge ass plate. He eats about a couple of spoonsful or forkful of food, and that's it. And the rest of it, he just gives it to the dogs. A couple of times he actually insulted my cooking, and to this day he never says anything about it. He just gives it to the dogs. Then there's nothing wrong with it. I don't get paid enough money in food stamps. He ruins it. Then he buys most worthless foods that I wouldn't want to eat anymore, because when you eat goat meat or sheep's meat, which they call mutton, I wouldn't eat it anymore because grocery stores have had it in their stores for I don't know how long. Even the place of storage either. I'd rather raise the thing myself and then maybe by next year it's all cleansed out. Then I would eat it, yeah. But not eat something that was old, that was butchered ages ago, that was left in the fridge for months. There even is a pig head in the freezer that I don't touch. And it's in there. It's been in there for more than 2 years. I wouldn't eat it. Because it's been in there for I don't know how long. It's been in the deep freezer for that long. Then it recently thawed out a couple of months ago. Still wouldn't eat it. Ugh. Pig's meat. I mean the head actually. It's kind of weird. I would just cut it up and just give it to the dogs. I give the organs to the dogs. I don't want to eat liver. Liver is like tastes and smells like your poop. That's what I believe in. There's the guts of the animal. I'd rather just give it to the dogs because they need to eat too. They're carnivores like we are. Leave some of the meat on it and then give it to the dogs, to the cats. A little sympathy for them. They're just animals. They're just cute when they're little, but then when they get bigger, they're annoying. Except for the cats. Hey, little chihuahuas, they're so cute. Adorable little things, spoiled brats. Cats and chihuahuas, they're so cute. In a few minutes, I gotta cut this video off and then tend to my father's stupid foot. Not his stupid foot, but the stupid IQ level of him, and then change his band-aid, and then cook something for him. For me, it's not going to be much to eat, because I'll eat little, then I'll save the rest of it, and then eat it later again, which I really don't care. Probably why I have headaches and stressed out, because of my dad's shittiness. I really need to give back some of those tools that I'm using, or that he allowed me to use, because I don't know, it's crazy how you see people online, mainly the elderlies, that are trying to change their health for the better. There's an old lady that was physically hunched over. She was totally disabled. Somehow, miraculously, she did it on her own. She started walking again, started cooking and cleaning for herself again. Maybe because for a fact that in her story that none of her kids or grandkids would help her, or she was alone. Dogs are playing outside. That's what I was looking at. There's another thing too I want to show, because right in my bedroom window, there's 2 trees that were cut down because my brother's truck broke down at the time, and I was working at the time. And I came home and I saw the 2 trees gone, and I called forestry about it. Forestry never came about it. Never. I was home the whole entire time when I called them. This was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Where you're gonna see this ash of stuff is where the trees were. There's a tree stump right there, and then there's ash right there. That's where the trees were. My own tree towers. So like the World Trade Tower. That's how I viewed it as. But it was sad it was gone. And very superstitiously, my brother sawed it down because of an owl. And the owl's still around. Unfortunately. Coyotes came back just a few days ago. About 2-3 days ago. I don't know why I keep saying 2 and 3. Ugh, I hate the numbers. Well, anyway. These Navajo people even say that they care about the land, but then there's trash everywhere still. They talk all high mighty. I don't know. I hate this place. It's never changed. I'm gonna be 47 this year, dude. For more than 40 years of my life, I never seen this place get better. Never has. Practically ran itself down over the course of Navajo Nation politicians, which I don't like them because they're just in office just to get rich. That's all it is. And this morning I had a dream about a classmate, and he's got a transformation done on himself. And all of a sudden, in my dream, but he looked normal. Like the way he used to look back in the days in high school. And I hope he's okay. Because usually when I have dreams of people, it's about them passing on, or maybe they changed something about themselves. I don't know. Maybe I'll find out in the future somewhere. I hate going down to the rest of the house because it stinks like shit. Dog shit and piss. My mom was right. After she died, the house became... She says it like this. The day I die, when I'm long gone, when your father has to do everything on his own, this house is gonna be so damn dirty. Sure enough, it is. Dog piss shit everywhere. Well, it happened. More than 14 years now. For more than 14 years, ever since I had a nightmare when I was living in Phoenix, Arizona. My work uniform was all black. Black shoes, black socks, black pants, black shirt. And my hair was long at the time, and it's been cut short ever since. I keep it short because I'm still kind of mourning for her. I don't really like long hair because she kept pulling on it so hard, and the pulling of the hair right here, it still hurts at times. I like to put a headband on, but then the Navajo Nation has that little stupid thing about gang members and their colors. That's why I don't wear a headband. Like those cloth headbands. There's one that I like. It's all white. It's just all white. I mean, blocks the heat off your head. The sunlight off your head. Trying to check out the negativity I'm feeling. Really strong emphasis on the outcomes of what's going to happen next. I don't know. I'm just tired and tired of dealing with a father who can't act and behave like an adult, you know. Well, I'm going to post this on YouTube, so there's some things that I would never do to my father, but he just critically claims that he's being neglected, but he's not. He does it to himself. Now I gotta deal with a young brother turning around telling me right in my face in front of my father too that my grandmother Martha Joe died. But I wish my brother would die off because he's a worthless piece of shit. He's just like my Uncle Tim. Nothing but an alcoholic and drug addict. No good in the mind, man. A real pure narcissist can't achieve anything on his own. I even got stripped naked by the Navajo Nation cops because they were wearing body cams, and he didn't find any meth. I couldn't even get charged for meth because I didn't have it in my system. The hospital was Fort Defiance Indian Medical Center. Didn't find anything. Hearing voices, yeah, it can definitely come from a lot of stress. When you hear the voice of your father, and you go check on him, and he's like, he's okay. And I told him, says, are you sure you're okay? Are you sure you didn't call me? He goes, then he says that to me at one time. He goes like, oh, maybe it was the goose. I mean, the guy acts like my sister, the way she acted before. He's a real mimic. He likes to copy. He's a guy of a center of attention. Just because nobody's paying attention to him, he turns around and makes everybody feel sorry. Try to make everybody feel sorry for him. And my mom used to say that about him. I'm just tired of my life with my father. He's just childish. Doesn't give a damn. So this morning my young brother takes off and doesn't say anything where he's going. My dad thinks that he's still in the house. My father's accusing me of stealing his jewelry. I didn't steal anything. The only thing that's pawned was what he gave me as a necklace that belonged to my mom. And a check I cashed over at Griswold's, and that was it. That's the only thing that's on record that I ever pawned. So I'm being blamed for shit I never done. Even witchcraft, I don't know anything about that. All I can do is just write in a journal in a notebook and saying, well, my father's like this, my brother's like that. This is how my sister used to behave. My father's doing the same thing. Behavior. He's a center of attention. My brother's really, Eli, he's really brown-nosy. He's probably at the courthouse trying to figure out ways to sue me. Sue me for what? He's not going to get a red dime from me. I'm not going to go to court. If I do go to court, then I'm going to tell the judge that, oh yeah, he's a narcissist. He threw around the mother of his child. He lives in a house where there's live wires. I wouldn't even touch him. I just put tape over the hole of the wires, and it's like, hey, get back in there. Use my pencil, put some gloves on, of course, push back in. And it'll back into the wall. Hope it doesn't burn down the house. That's a daily drama I go through. Being blamed for things I never done, get cops called on me for things I never done, drugs I never taken. Maybe this is what one of the psychics was saying, that I'll become famous is really standing up and telling my problems online. Because I'm tired of it. It's a good thing I'm doing this because I'm tired of my father's attitude. Well, it's almost a few more minutes to 28. About 27, 28 minutes to 12. So I gotta tend my father's foot, and I'll post more later today.